Welcome to Impact News. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Folks, paying taxes on forgiven student loan debt. Seriously? Mississippi has the gall to demand that folks who get their student loans forgiven should pay taxes on the money they've been forgiven. Seriously, Mississippi? Where is Mississippi when corporations get money forgiven? Where are they then? Here's an example. A company files for bankruptcy protection in the state of Mississippi. That means a portion of that company's debt, okay, and in some cases, all of their debt is wiped out, forgiven, okay? Are they paying taxes on that money? I think not, okay? I don't hear Mississippi asking these companies to pay taxes on that money. Also, here's another. Mississippi gives a company tens of millions of dollars in tax incentives for locating their business in the state of Mississippi. Where is the payment of taxes on that money that this company saved through incentives, okay, through those forgiven tax responsibilities? Where is that money? Who's paying taxes on that in the poor state of Mississippi? No one. That's right, no one. Let's keep it that way. That's the way it should be, and that's the way it's going to be for those student loans. And what about Brett Favre and that stadium scandal? Text messages in a civil lawsuit revealed that it's a multi-million-dollar welfare scam, revealed that former Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant helped Brett Favre secure more than $5 million for a volleyball stadium at the University of Southern Mississippi, where his daughter was playing volleyball on the volleyball team at the time. Let's just start. That's just all that corruption right there. Okay, the former governor denies wrongdoing, but the governor's wife's friend, Nancy Drew, guess what, folks? She pleaded guilty to 13 felonies. That's right, folks. Bribery, fraud, racketeering are all related to the plot, folks, in which an estimated $77 million, folks, worth of welfare funds was stolen or misappropriated. Folks, where are the taxes on that $77 million? Who's paying for that? The people who got the money? I think not. Are we just going to forgive that? Okay, I feel you. And finally, and a bit more timely, folks, Mississippi gets money from the feds to improve the infrastructure in Jackson, Mississippi, but the money goes to the wealthy white suburbs to do whatever they feel they need to do for their quaint little town, okay? Then Jackson gets in a jam. The water is bad. The infrastructure is bad. It's been bad for years. The money's been pumped out to the wealthy white suburbs for years. Where is the money that should have gone to Jackson, Mississippi? Is it going to get refunded to Jackson or the feds, or is this money going to get forgiven? Will taxes be paid on that money? Money those municipalities should not have gotten in the first place? They're going to pay taxes on that money? I think not, because this was never about money. That's just what they're stealing. This is about keeping some people down and lifting other people up. That's all this is. So until Mississippi wants to tax all the forgiven money, Mississippi can't tax any of the forgiven money. Stand up, Mississippi. Stand strong. You got them dead to rights. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Stay tuned. I'll be back with the news, the slay word, missing, Ask Dr. K, the International Report, and your crypto convo. Stay with me. Carol Angela Davis bringing you the news from around the neighborhood and around the world, starting with your headlines. Folks, slavery is on the ballot in 5 states. And yes, you did hear me correctly. Plus, a black pastor handcuffed. Why? Then Secretary of Defense and African-American Lloyd Austin is cleaning up the military. Thank goodness for that. Plus progress in the Native American community, and polio is making a resurgence. Oh, we don't need a comeback of polio. Then get ready for blackouts. Also get ready to claim your share of IRS fee refunds. Then Jenny Thomas, the insurrectionist, alleged. Then will history be made in Massachusetts? Plus, slavery is on the ballot in 5 states, as I said, and Trinidad and Tobago and USAID. Stay with me. All right, folks, time for the news. Folks, slavery is on the ballot in 5 states. Prison reform advocates pushing to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude, as well as reshape the prison system. So you better make sure you're voting. We are talking about the 13th Amendment. If you're not sure what that's all about, go see the movie 13. Get it. It's on Netflix or somewhere by Ava DuVernay. She spelled it out for you. The U.S., this is what, basically the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1865, abolishing slavery and involuntary servitude, except, as punishment for a crime. So now voters in Alabama, Louisiana, Oregon, Tennessee, and Vermont, they are heading to the polls this midterm election to vote on amendments prohibiting slavery and involuntary servitude, potentially transforming the criminal justice system and prison labor. You should know that Colorado, Nebraska, and Utah have already approved similar ballot initiatives. Also today, why was a black pastor handcuffed Oh, yes, while watering his out-of-town neighbor's lawn, because the police just don't have any sense sometimes. All right, now the pastor Michael Jennings of the central Alabama town of Childersburg is suing the police for their conduct. Jennings says he's coming for them for accountability and for justice. He says he suffers PTSD-like symptoms and other mental ailments as a result of being stopped by the police. And we know that's right, because he could have lost his life, okay? Apparently, an officer accused Jennings of refusing to cooperate and show ID. Therefore, he was handcuffed and placed in a police car. Sounds familiar. All right, let's go to the military. Fortunately, the military, led by a Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, who's also an African American, is confronting the growing white nationalist extremism in its ranks. So now there are some new rules. The new rules prohibit any statement that advocates for violence to achieve its goals that are political or ideological in nature. The ban applies to members of the military when they're on and off duty. Also, for the first time, the new rules prohibit statements on social media that, quote, promote or otherwise endorse extremist activities, unquote. That includes retweeting or even liking messages that promote anti-government or white nationalist and other extremist activities. You should know that of the 884 criminal defendants charged to date in the January 6th insurrection, 10% of them were veterans. Thanks, vets. And at least 5 of the rioters were serving in the military at the time of the assault, such as active duty Marine officer was one of them, and also some reservists, okay? Now, let's move on. There is some progress in the Native American community as the U.S. changes the names of nearly 650 places with racist Native American terms for women. All right, the names have been changed for mountain peaks, lakes, streams, and other geographical features on federal lands, anything that carried the term squaw. All right, the initiative was led by Interior Secretary Deb Haaland, who, of course, is the first Native American cabinet member. Talk about a long time coming. The department ordered the renaming of places carrying a derogatory term for Black people. That happened in 1962, and those with a derogatory term for Japanese people in 1974. Let's take a look at your health. Are we having a resurgence of polio? Let's hope not, folks. In July 2022, an unvaccinated adult man in New York contracted polio and became paralyzed. That's what it does to you, paralyzes you. It's the first case in the U.S. since 2013. Now the question is whether polio is making a comeback. There is no cure. There's no cure. There's only a vaccine that will help you, keep you from getting. Make sure you get that. The only treatment is prevention, and the tool for prevention is, as I said, vaccination, which of course is how we eliminated polio in the United States in the first place. Y'all anti-vaxxers are messing it up. All right, polio is passed from person to person through the mouth. All right, you can even get polio by touching a contaminated object like a spoon or a glass, or accidentally swallowing contaminated water. Chlorine bleach can destroy the virus, and of course, there's the vaccine, so please get it. Let's move on. We got to look at climate. Get ready for blackouts from London to LA and in a neighborhood near you, folks. That's where we are. Time to stock up on your batteries, your candles, and of course, your non-perishable snacks. The National Weather Service says that about 8 million Americans are already expected to experience temperatures above 125 degrees in 2022. And by 2053, folks, that number is going up to 107 million people. That is massive. The country needs a huge investment in overhauling the country's electric grid. All right, let's move to your finances. Nearly 1.6 million U.S. taxpayers have just a few weeks left to claim their share of 1.2 billion in IRS fee refunds, but you must file your overdue return by September 30th in order to qualify. The penalties are 5% of your unpaid balance per month, capped at 25%, but late payment penalties of 0.5%, those may still apply to you. Eligible tax returns, it's your business tax return, your individual tax return, your estates and trusts, and more. So get on that right away. Let's look at politics. Oh, Ginny Thomas, the insurrectionist alleged. All right. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas, she's allegedly intertwined with a wide-ranging campaign to overturn Roe v. Wade, which of course was very successful. Oh, she was successful, folks. An analysis of the 74 amicus briefs filed with the U.S. Supreme Court aimed at overturning Roe v. Wade found she was involved with half of them. So what was her influence on her husband and her husband's influence on her, frankly, in overturning a 50-year precedent? Oh, yes. Sounds like a surefire conflict of interest for dear old Clarence and big trouble for Jenny. Let's get this party over with. These two have caused enough problems in this country. Let's turn to Massachusetts. Will history be made in Massachusetts? African-American Andrea Campbell moving closer to winning the race for Attorney General, making her the first African-American woman ever elected statewide if she wins. She is currently a Boston City Councilor who is endorsed by Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. Campbell made equity and racial justice a focal point of her campaign. She is a graduate of Princeton University and UCLA Law School and worked in the nonprofit legal education sector before becoming deputy legal counsel to Deval Patrick, Massachusetts' first Black governor. And then looking across the diaspora, USAID is establishing a permanent presence in Trinidad and Tobago with a new satellite office there. Now, USAID's programming for Trinidad and Tobago is going to focus on financing for sustainable development, building resilience in areas such as adaptation to climate change and food security, and also focusing on the youth, all, of course, to advance a safe and prosperous and resilient Eastern Caribbean region. USAID, you should know, has programs in 11 countries: Barbados, where USAID is headquartered, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, the Bahamas, and of course, Trinidad and Tobago. That's your news. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Thanks for staying with me, but don't go away. I've still got to Ask Dr. K, the international report, missing, and your crypto convos, and of course, your slay word. Stay with me. Time for the slay word, folks. That's right. Level up that vocab. Why not? Why not improve yourself? Why not? Why not? Okay. The slay word this week is mawkish. Kind of a weird word. M-A-W-K-I-S-H. Mawkish. It's an adjective. That means it modifies or describes that noun. Its origin is the Middle English in the late 17th century, and the definition is exaggeratedly or childishly, there's the key, emotional. We'll use it in a sentence with the key. All right. Donald Trump is a mawkish man, isn't he? But guess what? Time's up. Oh, yes, dear Donald. All right, let's move on. All right, second sentence. I do not want the story to be in any way mawkish or sentimental, but yes, we're getting our country back, and Donald Trump and his upper echelon minions are headed to the pokey. That's your slay word of the week. The word is mawkish. It's exaggeratedly or childishly emotional. Use it this week and level up your vocab.
Anyone who thinks that slavery ended in the 1860s with the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation are grievously wrong.
If we caught a bird, we ate through the feathers and ate the bird. We didn't have nothing to cook on. We didn't have no stove.
You know who you are and who we are. We're still on the big plantation.
She was bonded to them until they died. She was their slave.
They said, bro, we're going to be killed tonight.
Could that same white dude keep terrorists there? Or Russian spies? Or the KGB? And the government wouldn't know it? No.
They thought I was beat so bad that I couldn't do nothing, but I did.
Where are you? We are out here looking for you, and with the community's help, we will find our missing Black girls. Lashaya Stein was 16 years old when she disappeared from Aurora, Colorado in 2016. There is surveillance video of Lashaya walking in the area of East Montview Boulevard and North Peoria Street in Aurora. Lashaya was seen during the early hours of July 15, 2016. She was wearing a black V-neck shirt, black stonewashed jeans, and a silver watch on her left arm. She also has a round scar on her chest. There is a $15,000 reward in Lashaya's case. Call Crime Stoppers with any information to help us find Lashaya Stein. Where are you? We are working to find you, and with the community's help, we will. Carol Angela Davis here with Dr. Inyang Ebong Harsham, who, as you know, is in Tanzania reporting for a month. So we're learning a lot about what's going on in Africa. Welcome, Edie.
Thank you, Carol. As you know, I'm here working on education, so it's a big subject for me. And I just wanted to tell you about the fact that up until today, girls who got pregnant in Tanzania at the young age of 14, 15, so teen pregnancies, were not allowed to return to school. This was a law that was on the books from the 1960s, and the previous president, John Magufuli, who died recently of COVID, had put in place an edict that banned girls who got pregnant from going back to school. He saw it as encouraging prostitution and rampant sex before the age of consent and before being married. So he banned them from going to school. And the activists fought and fought, both inside and outside of Tanzania, to get the law lifted. And today it was finally lifted. Why? We have the first woman president in Tanzania, and she came in and she saw that situation and she decided, no, girls have a right to continue with their education.
Thank you so much, Edie. It's so interesting that we had to get a woman president there in Tanzania to make that happen. And that's why women have to be more in power all over the world, because we know the war on women is real. It's certainly happening here in the United States. And we thank you so much for bringing us the information from Africa so that we understand exactly what the issues are and what's going on the mother continent, and particularly in Tanzania. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Have a good day. We are back at you, and we got your crypto convos with Lionel the Builder Sep. Welcome, Lionel.
Hi, thanks for having me. As always, this week in crypto, we actually had one of our worst weeks in the market since June 2020. For some people, that's a big "I told you so," but for others, that's a buying opportunity. You know, it just depends which side of the fence you're sitting on. Some other news is that the Ethereum merge is finally happening today. We don't know exactly what that's going to mean for the entire market. Of course, you just have to wait and see, but it does mean that the Ethereum blockchain is fixing a lot of its previous problems, like high gas fees, slow speed and low scalability, and a couple other things. So we've been waiting for this for a very long time. So it's exciting in the crypto world when it comes to that.
Good.
But that's pretty much it for this week.
But Bitcoin is still
20,000 right now. It did go all the way down to 18 within a month, but then, you know, it came back up, went up to 24. Now it's at 20. So it's still pretty much moving sideways, which is, it's kind of good because at least it's showing stability. You know, if it would have went down to 10 or 9, it'd be really abandoned ship would be the signal, you know, but with it,
that got too much money in it. Well, let me ask you this in 10 seconds or less. Are you buying Bitcoin?
yes, I am. Dollar cost average. Yep, I'm dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, a small amount that I can afford to lose every paycheck, you know, especially since it's so low.
All right. Now, you know, he's not giving you advice. He's giving himself advice. So you can, you know, you can do what you want to do with your money and your crypto. But Lionel, I'm following you. All right. Thank you so much, Lionel the Builder Sep. I'm Carol Angela Davis. You know, this is your crypto convo because we bring it to you straight every week because somebody's got to. Thanks for joining us. Stay with me. I've got to ask Dr. K. Thank you, Lionel.
Thank you.
I'm just sick and tired of us not spending time together lately.
I know, baby. I know. I'm sorry I ain't been spending time with you. I just been working on this big deal. It's gonna bring a lot more money to the household for it.
What you doing here, boss?
Yeah, just checking to see if you still got it.
You take this work. You partner. I don't want it back.
I've seen the movies, man. I know how this goes.
You see the movie, huh? Did you see Goodfellas? New Jack City?
Everything I do is for you. Like, I just need a little bit more time, man. Fine bullshit. Like I said, he's gonna call any second.
Why don't you take a look at this video? Guess what? It's starring you.
We are back closing out the show with Dr. K, who always comes to you with your health in mind. Dr. K, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, this is a very special time of year because every year I want to talk about the school lunch. So many of our chronic diseases, cancer, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, high blood pressure, believe it or not, they begin in childhood with what we eat. Food is so much our medicine. It is incredible. And beginning with good eating habits is critical to our health and wellness and our longevity. So while we have our children's lunches, we have a time to captivate them and really introduce them to healthy foods, even though our local supermarket is full of processed foods. So let's go through the lunch, and what's normally in it is the sandwich, which consists of some kind of processed meat, which we know is a carcinogen.
Lunchable.
And the more we are exposed to processed meats, the higher the incidence of colon cancer. Second thing is the bread. We know that bread is something that our children may have a gluten allergy. It is fortified with minerals because so many minerals are taken out in the process of making the bread that they have to put the minerals back in. But these minerals should never have come out. So bread is bad. However, if you just insist on it, whole grain bread is the best option. But remember also that many times gluten is a behavior problem, not so much even as it is an intestinal problem. So a lot of ADHD and different behaviors are linked to the ingestion of gluten. Mayonnaise, cholesterol, hateful eight on the oils. Mayonnaise is basically not good for us. The snack that normally comes from the middle aisle, sugar, diabetes. So what can go in our children's lunch? Well, the main course can be a salad. It can be a series of fruits. Here is your child's medicine, your child's behavior medicine, your child's disease prevention. It's all right here, and it's found in the produce aisle of your supermarket. The plant-based whole foods diet can make up your child's lunch. What is our child's snack? A piece of fruit. Anything else is going to have excess amounts of sugars, etc. What is the drink? Water. So let's think about our children's lunches as we begin the school year. Stay healthy and know that food is our medicine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. K, because we all know staying healthy these days, it is difficult with all these chemicals and all this mess in our food. So we thank you, Dr. K. Thank you for being here every week and helping us to stay healthy. And of course, you guys, you know by now, you got to eat a plant-based diet. At least you got to eat mostly a plant-based diet. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Thank you, Dr. K.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. And from all of us here at Impact News, we thank you for joining us for another week of informative sessions, and we'll see you next week with more.